Davis, David Peterson, and Bob Wright. We get $13 million out of a residential tax fund. Over $700 million is money that 10 years ago we would have been able to use to do things like this. That's a fundamental challenge. The good news is, Premier McGuinty recognizes it, Tory recognizes it, I've no doubt Howie Hansen will recognize it, and we've got a chance now to change that for good, and that will allow us to invest properly in the kinds of things that you're talking about.
We have a question over here on the left.
This question is for Mayoral. I'm Michael Gregg from Preserve Archaeological Sites in Toronto, and the Toronto Waterfront Revitalization Corporation has had an archaeological assessment for 2.5 years in its possession, and it has not consulted with any heritage organization or the museums department about what sites should be preserved. Now, Mayor Miller, you have had in your possession from Heritage Toronto a document talking about the significance of specific sites, and you have not acted upon this. Can you tell me what you're going to be doing for preservation on the East Bayfront, the West Donlands, and the Portlands areas? And I'd also like to hear from what the other candidates are going to say to this as well.
Okay. So I can tell you, I know the waterfront's archaeological assessment. The stage one, as you said, sir, was completed in 2004. I wasn't aware they had consulted with the museum, but that's an arm's length corporation, and at that point in time I wasn't on the board, so I wouldn't be in a position to know that. They completed East Bayfront, West Donlands, and the Portlands area, and a number of potentially significant features were identified, including Knapp's roller boat, Paulson Ironworks, located within East Bayfront. And we have mechanisms in place to protect archaeological resources within the waterfront. In the case of East Bayfront, the relevant owner to Knapp's roller boat are required to complete a management plan for completing an archaeological assessment of their lands prior to the lifting of the holding bylaw. That's very specific. I think my answer to you is the city as an institution is aware of these issues. The archaeological plan for the waterfront is proceeding. I was not aware that consultation with appropriate stakeholders hadn't happened. I'm a bit surprised, but I'm on the waterfront board, and we can certainly ensure that relevant stakeholders like the museums are included on a go-forward basis.
Stephen LaRue.
Well, the mayor's answer is a very good answer. When I was listening to your question, listening to the answer, I was thinking again how wonderful it is that you have a specific complaint, and yet you're here with that complaint, because 10 years ago, there wouldn't have even been a foundation for a complaint. I have read the reports about the archaeological finds in the Portlands, and there was one, it was last year, and there was some excavation down by Fort York, and old timbers. And, 20 years ago, they would have just been mowed down. No one would have heard about it. There would have been no mapping of it. There would have been no consultation at all. And so you're absolutely right. There should be more consultation, and all the stakeholders should be involved. But I think it's a pretty darn good thing that we're moving in the right direction. Just not fast enough, but I agree with you at that point.
Jane Pinfield.
I'm glad you raised this. I was unaware that you've not been consulted, and I think one of the problems and one of the reasons why the waterfront hasn't moved forward faster is because all the parties don't sit down at the table ever together. And those parties are the Waterfront Corporation, the Port Authority, the city, and EDCO. And I think there's a basic problem in the city, and one of those is, I talked about the loss of local voice. We need the local voice of heritage far more involved. And if I'm mayor of the city, because heritage and history will be a priority and it's a great interest of mine, you will be consulted, you'll be involved, and you should have been.
Sir,